Hello, believers, non believers, and everyone in between. You're listening to Stories with Sapphire. I am Sapphire Sandalo. Now get cozy and open your mind because it's story time. Maayong gabi, mga higala. Welcome to Stories with Sapphire. Ako si Sapphire. Nagpractice ko og Cebuano kay mobisita ko sa end of the year. Sa Disyembre para reunion na pamilya. I feel like I'm getting, like, my accent's still bad, but I am starting to be able to conjure the word I need in Cebuano a lot quicker than I used to, so I'm very excited about that. But I will definitely still be working on my mouth noises because they're not great. But at least I'm thinking in it, and you know what? That's progress to me, so I will pat myself in the back. Welcome! Oh boy. It has been real wet lately, hasn't it? Why am I talking about the weather? So hi, if this is your first time here, this is the live stream I do every Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time. Because I have all these emails that may not make it into a podcast. So this is like the loosey-goosey rough version of the podcast, and I also get to interact with you. And then after we go through some stories, I actually remembered this time. I remembered to take out the deck. I'll pull a card for everyone for a collective reading, for a message to reflect on for the rest of your week. How's that sound? So while everyone is still trickling in, let's see, do I have any updates? I did have a really cool meeting today. I can't really talk about, but I'm just really excited that it might lead to stuff. Wow, that's the most cryptic, pointless thing I've ever said in my life. My point, I guess, was it was a good day. Maayong adlaw. Well, I guess that's a greeting. But yeah, good day. Maayong adlaw. Mayong buntag from Visayas. Hi, Queen Sundere. Oh, yes, I remember you. Hello, hello. Okay. Your mom is from Iloilo. My grandpa on my mom's side was from Iloilo. So I am, I believe, a quarter Ilonggo. I think? Yeah. I don't know any Ilonggo. I think it's like really similar, right? Because it's to Cebuano, because it's still a Visayan language. Anyway. All right. Let's pull up the stories. Mga istorya. All right, our first one is from Emma. Hello, Sapphire. I love your videos, and I would like to share a scary... Sorry, my eyes are like being weird. I love your videos, and I would like to share a scary time at my old house with you. I live in Sweden now, but I do miss my old house back in America. Although there were always odd things going on at times. Ever since I was little, my mom and I lived in a 2-story house where the landlord lived on the bottom floor and we lived on the top. When I was younger, I was deathly afraid of the dark. I always had a light on in my room. I didn't have a door. Instead, my door was like a closet door sliding in and out. I usually get scared being alone. I end up going to my mom to sleep with her. But this night was different. I woke up around 3 a.m. as usual and went for the door. As I opened it, darkness filled the living room. I saw a shadow leaning over me. I didn't know how to reach it. It covered the doorway and continued to stare down at me. I quickly closed the door and hid under my covers until I fell asleep. Before this, I had no recollection of how I was. But my mom clearly remembered how whenever I came to sleep beside her, I watched her sleep, always scaring her. But in my point of view, I always tried to wake her up to ask her if I could sleep with her. She was always so terrified of me when I did that. Luckily, I never did that anymore. Whenever I went back to bed, I would always hear voices calling to me. At times, I'd hear them mention my name or have conversations with each other, but these were always very short. At times, I'd hear my mom, but she wasn't home. Other times, I hear a man or woman arguing, but my neighborhood is always quiet. At other times, I'd hear the floor creaking as if someone was walking to me. And these were old floorboards, but these sounded like actual footsteps. 1, 2, 3, 4, then silence. I always hear it coming towards me. Whether I was with my mom or in my own room. At first, I thought it was just Mom checking up on me, but I could hear her snoring in the other room. This always freaked me out to the point that when we got my new dog, we kept her in my room at night. At this time, Mom and I had switched rooms due to the fire trucks always waking me up. Even the dog would wake up and look at the door whenever she heard those footsteps. My dog always noticed I was scared of something, so she started to lay in bed with me until I slept. Sometimes while I'm home with the dog due to COVID, I would do online school while the dog slept in the living room. I could hear those footsteps again. I constantly looked over my shoulder to the point that I stayed in bed, keeping an eye on the door. Sometimes it was the dog, but other times it was something else. I'd even heard footsteps in the attic. It was odd since no one went into the attic because of how hot it was up there. I would always know our landlord went up because she was loud. But whenever I heard those footsteps, there were not anyone's in the house. Okay, creepy. We got creepy footsteps. Okay, so it was a little hard to follow. At least for me. I got a little bit confused in there. But creepy foots, there's something about like just switching rooms. Well, thank you, Emma, for sharing that. Yeah, hearing footsteps is like the first step to a haunting. So as long as it doesn't, it's usually the first step when in a haunting. So like as long as it doesn't continue to get worse, then I think you're fine. I feel like it's probably just something residual that's lingering, that's still in your house. Sorry if I don't know if any of that made sense. Charlie Pop, let's not lie. 50% of us here is Filipino. It's funny. All right, you ready for your next one? So we have another. All right, here we go. This is a Romanian urban legend, so I hope I don't mispronounce something. Hi, I'm Ruxy, and I've watched you for a long time now, and I think it's time I share an urban legend with you that might actually turn out to be true. So back in the day, around the 1930s in Moldova, Romania, there was a young, beautiful girl named Ileana that was sent in town to work for money to try to get out of poverty. In that time, Moldova was struggling with money, so most of the time, civilians would work for the rich to try to get a more satisfying life. Ileana would work for this rich man that turned out to be in love with her. With that happening, he asked Ileana to marry him, but it turned out that Ileana didn't feel the same way. Oopsies, where do we go? Because she was in love with another poor boy in her hometown. But the man decided to put even more pressure on her regarding the situation, saying that if she would decline the marriage proposal, he would make sure that she lost her job. Ileana, being very desperate about this job, didn't take a second, so she decided to give in and marry him. On the day of the marriage, Ileana found out she was pregnant with his baby. Oh, this man raped her. Of course, being so young and naive, Ileana wasn't ready for such a thing happening, so she ran away in the nearby forest and hanged herself. Ileana committed the sin of suicide, and because of that, she was left to roam the earth as a vengeful spirit. Her name is Miriasa din Radovani, which translated to the Bride of Radovani. Locals say that she appears on the road in front of unfaithful and non-married men so that she could cause them to be in a severe car accident. Some people say they encountered her spirit. Others were too late to share their stories because of the accidents they were in. Ooh, okay. Sorry, y'all, I did not have a content warning for that one. But yeah, that's very, very, very classic urban legend where, God, there's so many that relate to women dying before they have a baby or because of babies or because of marriage. Lots of tragic women ghosts who end their own life. And sometimes it makes sense. Other times it feels like it's trying to scare women into not being a spinster, like very old-timey kind of values. So I don't know how I feel about them, you know? This kind of, yeah, it feels like a Lady in White story, if you're familiar with those. And if you are watching this, you probably are familiar with those. I feel like maybe it's the way I'm sitting. I feel like I don't have my good radio voice today, but we trek on. All right, so this is Jas from Jas. The story I made with your inspiration. All right, here, let me try to get my radio voice back. It might be the way I'm sitting. All right, here we go. Far off in an isolated and quiet town lived a girl named Alyssa. This town was so small, so everybody knew her and loved, for she was kind, smart, generous, and so much more. But sadly, she had to move to a busy city because of her father's new job. On a Sunday morning, Alyssa said goodbye to her neighbors and friends and left for the city with her family. She was really uncomfortable about this city and she wasn't used to noise. She came over that uncomfortable fact when she started school. Since she was really an amazing person, everyone took a liking to her and she had no problem making new friends. Alyssa was happy and all until the popular guys started bullying her. Ever since her arrival, all the attention had been drawn to her, and no one really paid attention to them anymore. She would always be crying late at night while her parents had no idea why. One day, Ryan, one of the popular guys, set up a meeting with the others. He said, "This is risky, but sure worth it." They had a plan to take Alyssa down. Ryan would be pretending to fall in love with Alyssa and would kill her when the chance came. He executed the plan successfully, and Ryan and Alyssa started dating when one day they went on a date on a mountain. Ryan got the perfect opportunity to push her off. He did, and remained fake crying at her funeral and got off without any suspicions. Everyone thought she fell off. It was 19 years now. Ryan had just recently got married to his wife, Ella. She didn't know about his murderous past. One day, Ella got a call from her parents saying, "Ever since you got married, we have been spending very less time together. Would you like to come on a 4 weeks vacation with us?" Rather in a scared voice, Ella happily said yes, as Ryan gestured that he approved as well. It was 1 week past when only the lights at Ryan's went out. He called the electrician for getting the lights fixed, but the electrician never showed up. He waited and got annoyed for waiting so long, and so he thought he would contact the company after fixing the lights himself. He walked down the basement. As he reached the main power outlet, he caught a glance of a shadowy figure, but when he looked again, nothing was there. This kept happening until he saw it. It was Alyssa, but her beautiful face and charming smile were gone. In its place was an inhumane figure with a large smile exposing her razor-sharp teeth. Her sweet voice was gone. Instead, a deep voice. "You must suffer like I did." 3 weeks later, Ella walked into the house to find her husband, pale, bloodshot eyes, having stab wounds on his neck. Ella called the police, and even after tons of research, they couldn't close the case with a valid reason. Okay, not bad. I can see hints of the legend of what was her name? Oiku? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Yeah, there's like hints of that in there of like you kill a woman and then she comes back and then like kills you. Okay. All right, and now our last story before our card reading. This one's called The Jeepney Ride, a Filipino urban legend by Harley Clown, aka Hayden Cross. Harley Clown has sent in amazing stories in the past, so always a joy when I see a Harley Clown email. This is my rendition of a very popular urban legend from the Philippines. Also, I'm very open to any constructive criticism you have with my stories. It really helps me better myself as a writer. Okay. I rubbed my eyes to keep myself awake. Just 2 more minutes and I could finally go to my dorm and get some well-deserved sleep. Those 2 minutes felt like hours, but the bell finally rang. I packed my bags and headed for the door. On the way down the hall, I checked my phone for the time. 8 o'clock already? I quickly walked out the front entrance to the sidewalk, and luckily there was still a jeepney there this late at night. For those who don't know what a jeepney is, it's a popular means of transportation in the Philippines. It's very similar to a bus. Our campus is so big that you need to take a jeepney to get from place to place on time. I boarded the jeepney and took a seat. It was so late that there was no one else on the jeepney besides me and the driver. I yawned and took out my phone to play some music. A few minutes had passed, and I was scrolling through my phone when I felt like I was being watched. I lifted my head and glanced around. My vision landed on the driver's mirror, where I saw the 2 wide eyes of the driver staring back at me. The driver's eyes were fixated on me. He only glanced away briefly to look at the road from time to time, but he always went right back to staring at me. It made me very uncomfortable, and I tried to avoid eye contact. My destination wasn't far away, so I wasn't too terribly worried. Eventually, the driver stopped staring at me, and I saw my building come into view. I felt relieved. My body was aching all over from a long day of studying. I was excited to finally get some sleep in a nice warm bed, but the driver passed the turn to my building. I looked out the window and saw the building getting smaller and smaller. I quickly said to the driver, "Excuse me, sir, this isn't where my dorm is." But the driver didn't listen. He just kept going as if he didn't hear me. I spoke up again. "Sir, this isn't the right way. Please turn around." Again, the driver ignored me. He seemed to be fixated on the road, not looking away. He was even going much faster than the speed limit. I started to get scared. Is this guy high or drunk? Is he taking me somewhere? I didn't know what to think or how to feel. I contemplated calling for help or jumping off, but I feared what the driver would do if I did. I sat in my seat, hugging my knees and crying softly. Where was he taking me? Would I never see my mom again? Was he going to kill me? Around 6 minutes had passed, and I had just accepted my fate when I saw my building come back into view. I had gotten so caught up in my emotions, I hadn't even realized that the driver had turned back around. A wave of relief washed over me. We finally pulled up to the building, and I was just about to spring out of the jeepney when the driver said, "I'm very sorry if I frightened you, miss, but can you do me a favor when you get inside?" I reluctantly paused. "Burn the clothes you have on right now." "What? Why?" I asked, not knowing what else to say. The driver turned to me with worry on his face. "When I looked at you through the rearview mirror, you didn't have a head." I was startled when he said that, and I listened intently as he continued, "I believe that an evil spirit had attached itself to you, so it changed my route to try to get away from it. And that's why I want you to burn your clothes, because I think it's still attached to you." With these words, he drove away, leaving me alone at the entrance to the building. I ran inside to my dorm as quickly as my weary legs could carry me. When I got to my dorm, I wasted no time and removed my clothes. I was about to toss them into the fireplace when I paused for a second. Reality began to sink in. Could that jeepney driver have been a crazy person? I questioned. Was he just hallucinating or something? I dreaded thinking of the alternative. Or was what he saw really a warning for me? I had what seemed like 1,000 questions that couldn't be answered now. I took some deep breaths to calm myself. Then I made a decision. I tossed my clothes into the fireplace and watched as they withered away in the flames. I decided that I would rather be safe than sorry. I didn't get any sleep that night. I got up and tried to wake myself up with some breakfast. I turned on the TV to see if anything of interest was on before I went to class. When I turned it on, a local news station was covering a story. Now, to more information on the deadly crash that took place last night. Authorities say that a local jeepney driver is dead after crashing the vehicle into a tree. Police say that they are still unsure about the cause of the accident, but they have confirmed that no one else was on the jeepney at the time. The only confirmed casualty was a jeepney driver. As they were talking, they showed a picture of the man who died. I almost choked on my food when I saw that it was the driver from last night. At that moment, I had a startling realization. The warning in the mirror wasn't for me. It was meant for him. Another banger from Harley Clown. Thank you for sending that, Hayden. Harley. That was great. I had no idea where it was going because I've never heard this one before. But I do like that it starts off like if your driver starts going in a direction that's not where you're supposed to go, that's creepy as heck. Totally relate. Although if I were to change something, I would maybe play up the like potential kidnapping feeling of it. Maybe they don't look at you scared in the rearview mirror. Maybe they just have like a very, very straight face and you're like, why are they staring at me? Why am I not being dropped off? So that way it's like plant like a specific idea in our head and then like the twist, reveal the twist. That's great. A banger. All right, y'all. Thank you for sticking around to the end. And now as your reward, you get a reading, collective reading. Here we go. This is my favorite deck, Angels and Ancestors. Angel Sandoval, thank you for the super chat. Why not write a book from each year of stories? Read each year, kind of a campfire storybook for travel. Yeah, that's cool. I would love, here's the thing, I would love to make a storybook, but the problem with that is like, it is like legal issues. I don't want to get into it, but yeah, it's like there's a lot of things to think about, especially if the stories like are not mine. So if I ever were to do a storybook, I would rather have them either be like my personal experiences or completely original new stories to not have legal issues. Okay, so I want everyone to take in a deep breath. Three. 1, 2, 3, 7. 2, 3, 5, 6. Oh, I love this one. Shaolin Master, be graceful in movement and action. What's this one? I like this one. Slow and steady, breathe and flow, take a gentler approach. The Shaolin Master calls forth the ninja within. Shaolin medicine is about learning to adapt to a situation and to tap into the energy running through your body and preserve it in order to release it at the right moment. It also teaches subtlety because when you are too forceful, you use too much energy, and that may not be supportive of what you are working on. The Shaolin Master, like a monk, has respect for all things. He is disciplined and guided by his art and will never use it to impress the foolish or to appear stronger than someone who is threatening him. You, too, are being invited to remain graceful in your movement, choices, and actions. You are being guided to flow like water, blow like air, and connect with your purest intentions. Don't feel you need to rush ahead. A gentler approach will be more fruitful and rewarding. Move with subtlety and grace. Reach high, but also ask yourself how you can move with the flow of life rather than pushing against it. Do you have the capacity to refocus your gaze at this time? Can you slow down or take more time to soften and breathe as you move forward? All of this will be incredibly beneficial for what happens next. Yeah, I relate to that a lot. That was a really great message for me. So thank you. I know I love this one because it's got a big old dragon in the back. Big old dragon and a big old praying mantis. Two things that symbolically mean a lot. Wow. That's tight. Sorry, I'm like, thank you cards. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I live stream twice a week. Wednesdays at 5:30 Pacific. Thursdays at 4 Pacific. So I will see you tomorrow. Maayong gabi.